the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
But I don't know. We'll see. Final thing for you, Ryan. This is something that I wonder. It's a two-parter. Haider, the number one running back prospect. It seems real that the Vols have a real shot here. Georgia's in play. The big dogs are in play, so they're going to have to last some big ones. But what helps is Michigan bringing in Justice Haynes, and they're a little bit more crowded in their running back room, so maybe that's not as realistic for him. But I also wonder, I don't think Tennessee needs to go big in NIL at running back. Part of me, I'm kind of curious and raising an eyebrow at why they're so deep into this one, because Tennessee's best offenses, and when they're number one in the country in scoring, I mean, these are some 3-star guys. I mean, Jalen Wright was a 3-star you developed into an NFL guy. Dylan Sampson, 3-star guy you developed into an NFL guy. Like, I don't really understand why they're dipping in big time there potentially at Haider, because they're just such a rotation-esque offense, and you've had so much success allocating your resources in different ways. Am I overthinking just you do whatever you take to get Haider, or is that one where you're kind of raising an eyebrow at why they're allocating their resources there potentially, if they do win the recruitment of Haider?
I would say, well, Tennessee's always taken swings at guys like Savion Hiter. You just haven't been as deep in it as you are with him right now. So I think for the most part, coaches just recruit who they like.
Yeah.
And you kind of see where it falls. And if you're really in it for a guy like that, you're going to take your shot. Now, your question is a good one, though, because what happens when Tennessee actually is in the top 3 for a guy like Savion Hiter? Will they go big on NIL at running back? Because they haven't to this point. That's been sort of a strategic thing that that position, we got other positions we need to prioritize more. Well, now you've sort of built up other positions. Could they talk themselves into it? And I wonder, for the right guy, maybe they could. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the answer to that is right now. But I think with Tennessee, with this staff, they're big on the culture fit part, that kind of thing, and they emphasize that to the extent that when you can recruit a guy, and David Sanders is a good example of this. David Sanders fit everything they wanted to a T, and just happened to be a top 10 player in the country. When you get a guy like that who wants to come, it just makes everyone think, let's just do what we need to do to get this guy. And I wonder if the right player ends up in that position, say it's a Savion Hiter, will Tennessee just sort of talk themselves into saying, we just need to find a way to get it done. He's a good kid. He wants to be here. He's a perfect fit for us. Let's go get him. So not saying that's going to happen with Haider. I would still say, like you said, Michigan has been perceived as a favorite there for a while. Georgia's in it, some other schools. So it's going to be a big battle. But if they can get a guy like that to the point where they're in the top 3 in June or whatever and taking official visits, does it get to that point where they just kind of talk themselves into it? That'll be an interesting discussion if it comes to that. But they've not been in that position so far. So we'll see. That's an interesting position to me in 2026, because I love the addition of DeJuan Morris. And that's, to your point, that's almost kind of the Dylan Sampson type addition that could be really good a few years down the road, but he wasn't a 4-star. Sampson actually ended up being a 4-star at the end in 24/7 sports ranking. So Morris not even.
But he was a super productive high school back, where he passed Eddie Lacy's high school numbers, and it was the same as Morris at Oakland. Like, he was just a do-it-all, just numbers machine.
Yep, and you plug Morris into Tennessee's offense, I think he's got a chance to be really good. So that's the kind of addition you're used to seeing. So how does this group turn out? It's the first group Darrell Sims has really been able to recruit for a while. He didn't have much time last year, so can he get Tennessee in position to maybe win one of these battles? And if they do, how do they handle it? It's a fascinating storyline, because the closest they've been to being in that type of position was Peyton Lewis, and that's the highest ranked guy they've landed at that position. And I'm not sure what they're going to do if they get themselves in that spot where they could actually land a guy like Savion Hiter, which looks possible.
And we also just don't know if Sims is as much of an ardent rotation guy as Jerry Mack was, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if last year was kind of not just a Dylan Sampson thing, but it's like he might just go Peyton Lewis. We're assuming it's going to be a rotation with Peyton and Bishop and Star Thomas, but what if it's not? What if that's not what he likes to do? What if it really is? He's going to be like, Nate, Bishop's healthy and I trust him. Bishop is going to be on the field a bunch, and that's just what we're doing. Like, I'm rolling with my guy that I trust the most. Like, we don't know really what Derail is going to do in terms of rotations. We're just assuming like that's what they're going to go back to. And last year was an outlier with Dylan Sampson. And maybe that's why you're more in on a Savion Hiter, because you're like, We want a guy we can just give the ball to, and we can plan for 20 to 25 carries and to be a big time primary back. Like maybe that's just his belief. I don't know.
Well, I think last year was more about the personnel. I think this year it's set up to be a 3-headed backfield. Just that's what it looks like personnel wise. So it's probably going to be that.
Unless Payne Lewis is really good.
Yeah, I mean to your point, I don't think coaches plan it out that much. I just think they want the best talent they can get in the room, and they'll deal with it when they get there. So it may be a situation where even if you got him, it's Savion Hiter and DeJuan Morris, and maybe you sprinkle in a third guy or whatever. So it could be, who knows. But yeah, you're just trying to get the best talent you can. And yeah, that's that. But it is an interesting storyline because they just never were quite in that discussion. And it was a frustrating thing for a lot of fans. I got that question probably as much as any the past few years. Why can Tennessee in this offense not get a big time back? And some of it's been, I think, hesitance on the NIL front. Some of it though was just the appeal, the perception it's a passing offense, those kinds of things. They've had to sort of fight it. And now that they've gotten the perception of the program to a different level, maybe they're going to be in the discussion for some higher level backs. But it's not a long list of top targets that are highly ranked that they're in on, but there are a few they've got a real shot at. So who do they end up with there in 2026? That's a really interesting position.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.